1 Enoch 89:55. And he gave them over into the hands of the lions and tigers and wolves and hyenas, and into the hand of the foxes, and to all the wild beasts. And all those wild beasts began to tear in pieces those sheep. And I saw that he forsook their house and their tower, and gave them all into the hand of the lions to tear and devour them, into the hand of all the wild beasts. And I began to cry aloud with all my power, and to appeal to the Lord of the sheep, and to represent to him in regard to the sheep, that they were devoured by all the wild beasts. But he remained unmoved, though he saw it, and rejoiced that they were devoured and swallowed and robbed, and left them to be devoured in the hand of all the beasts. And he called 70 shepherds, and cast those sheep to them, that they might pasture them. And he spoke to the shepherds and their companions, Let each individual of you pasture the sheep henceforward, and everything that I shall command you, that you shall do. And I will deliver them over unto you duly numbered, and tell you which of them are to be destroyed, and them shall you destroy. And he gave over unto them those sheep. Context explained the covenants. Part of the covenant agreement Israel affirmed each year on Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, was if they transgressed the covenant and turned away from Yahweh to worship other false gods, then Yahweh would hand them over to their enemies and scatter them from the land of promise. Supporting scriptures. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and carried away the Israelites to Assyria, where he settled them in Hala, in Gozan by the Habor River, and in the cities of Medes. All this happened because the people of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. They had worshipped other gods and walked in the customs of the nations that their Lord had driven out before the Israelites, as well as in the practices introduced by the kings of Israel. 2 Kings 17:6-8. 1 Enoch 89:61. And he called another and spoke unto him, Observe and mark everything that the shepherds will do to those sheep, for they will destroy more of them than I have commanded them. And every excess and the destruction which will be wrought through the shepherds, record how many they destroy according to my command, and how many according to their own caprice. Record against every individual shepherd all the destruction he effects, and read out before me by number how many they destroy and how many they deliver over for destruction, that I may have this as testimony against them, and know every deed of the shepherds, and that I may comprehend and see what they do, whether or not they abide by my command which I have commanded them. But they shall not know it, and you shall not declare it to them, nor admonish them, but only record against each individual all the destruction which the shepherds effect each in his time, and lay it all before me. Context explained. The priesthoods. The angels of heaven have their own hierarchy of priests who serve the Father in helping mankind, and they also record the sins of men on the earth for the Father and Son to review. Supporting scriptures. For the Son of Man will come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will repay each one according to what he has done. Matthew 16:27. 1 Enoch 89:65. And I saw till those shepherds pastured in their season, and they began to slay and to destroy more than they were bidden. And they delivered those sheep into the hand of the lions, and the lions and tigers eat and devoured the greater part of those sheep, and the wild boars eat along with them. And they burnt that tower and demolished that house. And I became exceedingly sorrowful over the tower, because that house of the sheep was demolished, and afterwards I was unable to see if those sheep entered that house. And the shepherds and their associates delivered over those sheep to all the wild beasts to devour them, and each one of them received in his time a definite number. It was written by the other in a book. It was written by the other in a book how many each one of them destroyed of them. And each one slew and destroyed many more than was prescribed. And I began to weep and lament on account of those sheep. And therefore, in the vision, I saw that one who wrote how he wrote down every one that was destroyed by those shepherds, day by day, and carried up and laid down and showed actually the whole book to the Lord of the sheep, everything that they had done, and all that each of them had made away with, and all that they had given over to destruction. And the book was read before the Lord of the sheep, and he took the book from his hand and read it and sealed it and laid it down. And immediately I saw how the shepherds pastured for 12 hours, and behold, 3 of those sheep turned back and came and again and began to build up all that had fallen down of that house. But the wild boars tried to hinder them, but they were not able. And they began again to build as before, and they reared up that tower, and it was named the High Tower. And they began again to place a table before the tower, but all the bread on it was polluted and not pure. Context explained: the priesthoods. Enoch's metaphoric vision of Israel's future revealed the days of Ezra, the high priest, who returned from exile in Babylon and was part of the generations that rebuilt Solomon's permanent tabernacle to Yahweh and began the priestly duties once more. Supporting scriptures: but Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the other heads of the families of Israel replied, "You have no part with us in building a house for our God, since we alone must build it for the Lord, the God of Israel, as Cyrus, king of Persia, has commanded us." Then the people of the land set out to discourage the people of Judah and make them afraid to build. They hired counselors against them to frustrate their plans throughout the reign of Cyrus, king of Persia, and down to the reigns of Darius, king of Persia. Ezra 4, 3, and 5. 1 Enoch 89:74. And as touching all this, the eyes of those sheep were blinded so that they saw not, and the eyes of their shepherds likewise. And they delivered them in large numbers to their shepherds for destruction. And they trampled the sheep with their feet and devoured them. And the Lord of the sheep remained unmoved till all the sheep were dispersed over the field and mingled with them. And they did not save them out of the hand of the beasts. Context explained: the covenants. After the days of Ezra, the people of Israel continued to transgress off and on, and the land of promise was never reestablished to its full boundaries with faithful Israelites. Instead, it was mingled with various peoples while being threatened by Greek and later Roman rule. Supporting scriptures: but if indeed you or your sons turn away from following me and do not keep the commandments and statutes I have set before you, and if you go off to serve and worship other gods, then I will cut off Israel from the land that I have given them, and I will banish from my presence this temple I have sanctified for my name. Then Israel will become an object of scorn and ridicule among all peoples. 1 Kings 9, 6, and 7. 1 Enoch 89:76. This one who wrote the book carried it up and showed it and read it before the Lord of the sheep, and implored him on their account, and besought him on their account, as he showed him all the doings of the shepherds, and gave testimony before him against all the shepherds. And he took the actual book and laid it down beside him and departed. Context explained: the priesthoods. The angelic priesthoods of heaven love mankind, and especially those who practice the ways of the Creator in faith. Those ministering angels beseech the Creator for mercy and favor to be extended to men and nations that seek to serve Yahweh just as a loving and faithful priest would. Supporting scriptures. When he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. Revelation 5:8. May my prayer be set before you like incense, my uplifted hands like the evening offering. Psalm 141:2. That's it.